a sense of capital. Aloha, ladies and gents. Welcome back to a new episode of A Sense of Capital Insights Time. And guys, maybe you recognized already that I'm wearing a green pullover. Not just because of the reason that I like the color green, but as well, today it's pitch time and it's Grab time. Grab Holdings, the food delivery and mobility service provider out of Southeast Asia, which will get pitched today during the upcoming minutes. But before we start and jump right in, a quick disclaimer that in the upcoming minutes, that's no financial advice or consultation whatsoever, and there's no guarantee for correctness of the provided data. Okay guys, let's jump right into it. Just in advance, some words to this company or why I've selected Grab for the first pitch time episode. So basically, in my opinion, it's a stock which is somehow has a life in the shadow of Sea Limited, a brand, a company which is well known in the stock business and had a strong development in the pandemic years, but then decreased very heavily in the past months. And I want to make sure that I can bring even other players on the map. And the more I did research and analysis on Grab Holdings, I figured out, man guys, there's way more potential in Southeast Asia than Sea Limited. So guys, if you burned your hands in the past at Sea Limited, like I did honestly, because I was a shareholder of Sea Limited, please don't switch off right now. Give me a chance and give Grab a chance to get a little bit more information about it, and maybe you will make a U-turn as well in terms of this company, and you are interested as well to do your own research and purchase it. What I can tell you right now, when we talk about Grab, out there at YouTube and other platforms, it's very difficult to find comprehensive analysis about the stock, and if you find those, then most of the time they are very strongly quantitative, numbers driven. And I think it's a strong story play, what I can tell you already right now. And a story play is hard to catch in numbers, and it's a little bit more of getting a taste, a flavor, a color about the world where Grab is active in. And that's my ultimate target of today, to somehow soak you into the world of Grab and give you the same feeling as you would be a Grab employee, if you would be a Grab driver, a Grab merchant. That's my target. Yeah, and if you have this feeling, I think then you can make the right decision for you and ignore the stock, put it on your watch list, or even purchase it. It's all about your money, it's all on you. The analysis itself will be structured in 3 separate parts. One will get uploaded today at Sunday, one tomorrow, and the other one on the day after. I try to create a volume which is equal to all 3 parts, so there's not a large chunk video and a small one. I think overall there's a lot of information, a lot of input included, and that's the reason why I basically separated them in multiple parts. And as you can see here, today we will talk about the company itself, the services, the super app. Maybe you don't even know what a super app is. I honestly didn't knew it before, so it's very interesting, the culture of Grab, and a small comparison to Sea Limit, what I already introduced and stated at the beginning a few moments ago. On the second part, we will talk about Southeast Asia, so you get a better feeling about the market share and the competition Grab is confronted with, the fundamentals of Grab, the peers, valuation, and of course the, let's call it, big brother of Grab, which is Uber. And last but not least, in the third part, we will talk about the key stakeholder and success driver, in my opinion, which is actually the driver, the riders, which deliver food and doing the mobility service for Grab. Then we talk about a very interesting point, the extraordinary potential which is existing and very present for this company, and which makes the story of Grab so delicious. Then we go for a verdict, and I will tell you what is my opinion about the stock and how I will handle the stock in the future. And then I will finish the video by stating a few critical success factors which in my opinion are very crucial and which you should observe if you like to invest in this company, or if you put it on your watch list and find a good point in time to purchase the stock. So first I want to give you a little bit more details about the company itself on a superficial level. As you can see, and how Grab is describing themselves, Grab is a leading super app in Southeast Asia, providing everyday services such as mobility, deliveries and digital financial services to millions of Southeast Asians. This is how they describe themselves, and as you can see here, it's not that complicated on the first glance. Yeah, you got here your food delivery services, no matter if we talk about really dishes from the restaurants or even grocery support. Then we have mobility, which is the second key service sector, and as you can see, it's about transportation of humans, but as well on deliveries, on shipments. And the third one, which is a very newish one, is not that crucial at the moment, but will be a strong driver in the future. The financial services, as you can see, a wallet payment services, loan debt business, even classical bank institutional businesses and services. And on top of this, which is not stated here by the website on the cover, is ad services. So they have this kind of super app I will talk later about, and in the super app they include ads, or as a restaurant, as a merchant, you can list your food, your location a little bit higher than the others. That's as well a newish business. So primary sectors is delivery and mobility services, and secondary ones is the financial and the ads business. The company's original name was My Taxi and active only in the mobility service business, but nowadays, as I mentioned, they really command about a broad variety of services. And if you want to see how all the services grab in each other, then check out the video on YouTube, The Future of Grab, Your Everyday App. That shows you quite understandable how all these services are related and connected to each other. Talking about the business management team, as you can see, it was founded by Anthony Tan and Tan Hoi Ling. Both met at the Harvard Business School, but the background of both persons are quite different. Anthony Tan is coming from a wealthy family, very present and famous in the Southeast Asian area in the automotive sector, and even nowadays the family of his wife is quite active in the financial sector. So there's a lot of business connection existing in my point of view. And Tan Hoi Ling is quite different to Anthony Tan. Tan Hoi Ling is not coming from a poor family, it's more a mid-class driven family. And I like the combination out of a very well-connected Anthony Tan from birth, let's say it like this. And on the other hand, Tan Hoi Ling, who's really making her way up from the mid-class. What is a little bit unfortunate is that Tan Hoi Ling, I hope I pronounce her right, already stepped back from the board of directors not that long ago, as you can see on 14 November 2023. Alright, let's jump a little bit further into the stock itself. As you can see here, the company is headquartered in Singapore. Let's check out about the capital structure. As you can see here in the midsection, the market cap is roughly at 11.8 billion, but the debt level compared to cash level is very low. As you can see, 1:6 is the ratio, and thereof the enterprise value is quite low with 7.8 billion. So using here in this relation the market cap, I think it's not the right source. You should take a higher focus on the enterprise value, and in my opinion the cash liquidity position is for sure a strong one, and that is what you need in those markets to be competitive and as well to be able to do merger and acquisition activities in the future and expand the business very aggressively. Coming to the ownership, many companies which are very well known invested in the past into Grab. To name some of them: SoftBank, Didi, the Uber pendant from China, Toyota, Hyundai, Microsoft, and even Uber invested into Grab. And basically when we talk about Uber, there is a separate story which we definitely need to keep in mind. So Uber originally invested roughly $700 million in entering the Southeast Asian market with food delivery and mobility services by their own in the past. And you need to know that Uber as well as Grab was holded by SoftBank, an investment house from Japan. And basically they had a tough competition going on, Grab and Uber, in the Southeast Asian market. And I guess SoftBank was not that happy about that two of their companies, which they are shareholder of, are fighting each other. And then Uber decided to sell their subsidiaries to Grab in those markets especially in Singapore, which is a quite financially strong market, which we'll talk about later on. So Uber sold their market share to Grab for roughly 75% of Grab, and even today Uber is a shareholder of Grab, as you can see here, and the latest earnings results. And actually with 1.9 billion equity stake on Uber, Grab is the largest holding of Uber. That's definitely a sign for me that there is a certain conviction existing at Uber when we talk about Grab. So guys, let's go on and let's check out how many employees are active for Grab to get a better feeling about the size of this company. And as you can see here, they have roughly 12,000 employees, but I need to add here that there was a quite huge layoff of roughly 10% or 1,000 jobs in mid of 2023. I think they are now more profit orientated and focused, and of course they try to cut costs at first, and you can see it. Of course you need to take a look there as well on the staff, and they executed by basically cutting those 1,000 jobs. Guys, let's go on with further input. Let's check out the revenue development of the past years. The growth of the revenue is quite constant, and the jump between 2022 and expected 2023 is quite huge. Even more huge is the jump from roughly 700 million to 1.4 billion 2021 to 2022. But what is already a little bit the downside, and I need to be honest here, of course, not try to sell here anything, it's just about giving you my opinion about the stock, is the jump from 2023 to 2024. And as you can see, it's just a jump of roughly 500 million US dollars or 20%. Not that great. I hope they will crush the forecast, they will crush the guidance, but we will see. Taking another look on the profit side, as you can see here, the loss, and yeah, they're losing a lot of money, is getting lower and lower each year. Heading further on the price chart, they had their initial private offering through SPAC in December 2022. Right after it, they had a peak, and in November of 2021, roughly 1 year later, they hit another peak, like many other digital companies which get hyped very strongly during this pandemic. And right after, they really dropped heavily without any mercy. And as you can see here, basically since second quarter of 2022, the price is more or less quite unvolatile on the same level. Yeah, maybe the market is waiting for the news, for some shift to really create a breakout. I think from the story point of view, from the overall development of the company, the right time is now, but I will show you later why I think that's the case. To finish the introduction of Grab, at least on a superficial scale, I want to show you that last year they acquired Singapore's third largest taxi operator, Transcab. It's not passed by the authorities yet. Who knows if there will be any antitrust issues. Antitrust, I think, is a big aspect when we talk about the evaluation of Grab and a certain level of risk which comes in hand with Grab. But at least it's great that some consolidation is going on and they try to increase their power and market share by doing this. And last but not least, I want to show you that as well, they are owning some other companies. So basically, they have 90% market share of OVO, which is the largest payment and wallet provider of Indonesia. And Indonesia, you will see it later, is the strongest market in Southeast Asia. OVO has a 38% market share of all payment and wallet processors in Indonesia. And furthermore, they own the Yaya grocery store. It's a large supermarket chain with 36 stores, and of course here as well they combine this with the regular food delivery and grocery services and try to create some synergies and network effects. Just to add this information, Yaya Grocer is located in Malaysia. Coming to the services, Grab, making every day better. I don't know if that's the case or not, and this is not what I want to rate by distance from my perspective. For me, it's just about, is there some outcome potential existing when we invest in the stock or not? And therefore, guys, let's focus a little bit more on the services. And I can just recommend, if you are interested to get more information about the stock, make your own research here on the website. A lot of information is existing. You can see here that different perspectives are existing. We start with the consumer perspective. So when we talk about deliveries, as I already mentioned, it's of course primarily about the food, secondarily about mart, so grocery delivery, and of course there's some shipment express delivery for packages and documents. Then we have the mobility services. Honestly guys, a lot of times, a lot of analysis, a lot of news, etc. are focused always on the delivery side, and I'm already a little bit confused, let's say it like this, why mobility receives such a low focus when we talk about Grab. But I think Grab Rides is a huge chance. It's working so well. It's the original legacy of all these services and all the business of Grab. As I mentioned, they start with My Taxi, and then we have the financial service, payment, insurance and investments, and then we have driver. So of course the riders can join for doing mobility services or food delivery services. Then we have the merchants, which can put their daily businesses and payment processes under the roof of Grab. And then we have the enterprises for as well sending packages, receiving food, business rides with special drivers, as you can see here, financial services, gift cards. And here's the ads. Here's the ads, which is very, very interesting in my opinion, has a lot of potential. And what is quite new as well is fraud management. If you're interested in the history, it's always quite interesting to check out their investor days, slide decks. And as you can see here, start with Grab Taxi, Grab Car Express, Food, Finance, Grab Ads, Grab Invest, GXS, which is bank business. So really full financial services. And even in 2022, they launched Grab Maps, so which is very interesting. I hear different stories how good or how bad it is. However, it's existing. So for instance, drivers and riders don't need to use Google Maps. They can use Grab Maps. And this is how everything developed in the past roughly 11 years. Right. Now, as you know, the service catalog of Grab, I think it's time to reveal the big secret and the meaning of super app, which I already stated before. Grab has an ultimate goal. They want to establish this kind of super app, which is comparable to WeChat from Tencent in China. Maybe you heard about it, which is basically a very comprehensive lifestyle app and which functions more like many different apps in one app, and which makes that you only need this app and not any other function anymore from them smartphone. That's the ultimate target. That is the target of a super app. This approach is quite common in Asia. As I already mentioned, there's WeChat and many other players, like for instance Shopee, the shop app from C Limited, which I already introduced in the beginning. Grab tries as well to dig these synergies, to dig these network effects through all the different services in those apps. So when you open it as a user, maybe you think about, okay, originally I wanted to send a package by Grab, but now I think, why not ordering some food? So there are definitely these advantages which resulting out of the utilization of a super app. But on the other hand, there are definitely some downsides. And what I think is definitely a downside, these apps, and I read a lot of times about this, can be actually quite confusing because there's so much stuff going on. Everything is flashing and shining and so many different functions, which can be really annoying, and sometimes even technically they demanding a lot of power from your smartphone. That's as well not very beneficial all the time, especially when those super apps are not developed on an absolute top-notch level. And the most crucial one in my perspective is always the antitrust factor. So with the super app, you're always going for the target of having a really monopolistic positioning in the market. Of course, every company tries to achieve 100% market share of a certain industry, but with a super app, you go really that hard for it that the users on a certain level can't even live without it anymore. I think that's the ultimate target. So it's nothing too negatively, and I completely understand the target, and that is one of the reasons why I want to invest in Grab, because I like the idea of the super app. And as I mentioned, the WeChat app from Tencent in China proved that the principle on the systematic of this idea is working. But the antitrust level and this monopolistic idea behind it is a very strong and tough one, and which is an aspect which you should definitely consider. Maybe this is working in some markets, in others not. I am not a native one, and in this perspective I'm quite limited, and I can't tell you if that's allowed, if this will work out, if the culture is adopting to the super apps in Southeast Asia. I have the feeling it is the case, but can't give you any guarantee in this regard. But what I can actually do is going to the different Google Play stores, Android stores, and check out how many downloads happened, what is the rating, and how many comments. And as you can see here, that's the super app of Grab, taxi and food delivery. You can see 4.8 rating, which is very, very high, almost at the maximum, at the peak, which is available. 12.6 million feedbacks and more than 100 million downloads. So keep this in mind, 4.8, 12.6 comments, and 100 million downloads. That's the case for the Grab app. And now I will go just through a bunch of different other apps like Gojek, which is quite similar to Grab and which is a very strong competitor in the Indonesian market. We will come back later on. Only 4.3 and 6 million comments. Then we have Uber, that you get a better idea. Uber Eats delivery in this case, so it's not mobility, but as you can see here, the rating is as well lower. Then we have Uber request a ride, so the mobility services as well. The comment level is on more or less the same scale, the rating as well. Of course, the downloads numbers are way higher. I mean, Uber is older, more established, and way more diversified across different regions, countries and continents. Then we have Foodpanda, which is as well a direct competitor in a lot of Southeast Asian markets as well. Here we will talk later about it. There is a high potential chance which will result out of Foodpanda in the future. The rating is way lower, as you can see here. The comment level is way lower. We have DoorDash, a company which is very present in the US. So maybe you are from the US, you get a better feeling about comparing DoorDash to Grab. As you can see here, not rated badly as well, but Grab is definitely on another level. Just Eat, which is very present in Europe, very present in Great Britain. We have Grubhub, okay, that's a subsidiary basically, or Lieferando, which is from my home country, Germany. Everyone here in Germany knows Lieferando. It's a subsidiary of Just Eat Takeaway as well, not as close, commented and rated like Grab. We have Talabat, I think that's from Arabia, but not 100% sure honestly, so don't nail me on this. Then we have Shopee, which is as well a super app, a Southeast Asian player, C Limited. So here you can see even this large and very well-known super app is not rated on the same level, is not commented on the same level. There's not so much activity going on. Lazada, which is a Chinese company, I think daughter company of Alibaba, as well active in Southeast Asia. Okay, here I need to say rated very good, very strongly. And just some comment on the site in this regard, because when you can see it here, Shopee, direct competitor to Lazada, so both are basically platforms like Amazon. I think Lazada, when we just take a look on the ratings, is definitely in the lead. Then we have AirAsia, which is as well a super app approach by AirAsia, the airline, not as closely rated to Grab app. And we have then here as well a sub app, Grab Driver, so for the drivers of Grab. And we have as well one for the merchants. I need to tell that this one is not rated that great. I think it is related as well to the bad maps function, but here as well, don't nail me on that. And then here we have as well the Uber Drive app. So when we compare the Grab Driver app to the Uber Driver app, definitely the Uber Driver app takes the lead. Why I'm showing you all this different kind of apps, for me, basically the reason for this is to show you the super app functionality is a big important aspect and target for Grab. It's the ultimate goal, and it's very important that the app itself is rated and accepted by the culture, by the audience, by the users in Southeast Asia. And when I take a look at the app, for me, it's definitely giving you the feeling it's the case with 4.8 rating, more than 12 million comments and more than 100 million downloads in the past years. Now I want to leave some words about the culture and a little bit as well about the reputation of Grab. So what I've read on pages like Glassdoor and on YouTube, comments and some other pages is that the culture overall is a little bit more relaxing for the staff members when you work at the headquarters on the office side. I think the business overall and the culture is not that fault chasing driven and performance focused like in some other. I figured out that the salary level is on a fair level as far as I can see it, and that's already great. But what we need to keep in mind is that Asian companies, they sometimes tend to be vertically, hierarchically very built out strongly. So it sounds a little bit awkward, but let's say it like this. The management has a huge impact on the daily business, and sometimes the staff members which get commanded by the managers don't question the comments and don't question different tasks, and therefore sometimes they're doing stuff without any resistance, even if it's nonsense. And I don't hope that's the case at Grab, and I honestly just read it by myself. I never worked as an Asian company. Maybe it's just some bad rumors. I just hope that they have a really modern, open culture and work ethic at Grab, and everyone can state their ideas, and if the ideas of the management are bad, then hopefully the staff members will tell their managers it's a bad idea. And in general, the reputation of Grab is a little bit questionable. So I read different comments from drivers about driver accidents, monopolistic behavior, too high fees for the clients, for the merchants, for the drivers and riders. It feels a little bit like when you are a shareholder of arms company or of a tobacco company, honestly, even if you should not feel like this. Of course, you can make research about any company existing in the world, even the best ones, and somehow you read some negative stuff on Glassdoor, on YouTube, and on other pages. So I will not weight this too heavily. But however, I think the reputation overall is not 100% clean and perfect, and there's still some room for improvement, and it's important that Grab takes a certain focus on reputation and making sure that all stakeholders which are involved, clients, merchants, and drivers, are satisfied. Coming to the last chapter of this video, the comparison to C Limited, what I already stated at the beginning of the video. I don't want to talk any bad about any other company, and actually I'm a little bit a fan of C Limited, I need to tell you. As I mentioned, I was invested in the past, and I could imagine to invest as well in the future, and I cross my fingers and hoping for the best for the company. I know they had some struggle, have been confronted with some challenges in terms of their gaming section, Free Fire game in India, ban, whatever, all this kind of stuff. But I want to just mention before you judge that C Limited is not Grab in my opinion, and not every company is the same just because they are located in the same region. So what we need to keep in mind is, yes, of course, both are basically super apps. C Limited is more an e-commerce store, but as well they have food delivery, and as well they have a high potential chance of making income with financial services, the same like Grab. But in the end, you need to keep in mind it's larger and diversified about continents. They have been active, or still active, I think, in Latin America and Brazil. They have been active in Europe and Poland, for instance. They have basically everywhere tried to establish some business, and sooner or later, with all this expansion, they figure out, oh, maybe we need to close the one or another market to make sure to not lose too much money, especially in the times when we have high debts and the interest rates are increasing, and need to set a higher focus on profit. That's not the case for Grab. That's the one difference, yeah? So on the other side, let's check out how the revenue development looked in the past years. And as you can see here, C Limited is not growing that strongly anymore since they focusing the profit side and making sure not losing too much money. Grab, it's still rising on a quite constant scale. Why this is the case? In my opinion, as I mentioned, it was a strategical shift which was announced by C Limited, and of course it was announced by Grab as well. I can tell you already now, Grab is as well more focused on the profit than they have been focused in the past. But as you can see here, there's not that essential need, because the cash to debt ratio is still 1:6. But when we compare it to C Limited, the debt to cash ratio, which is roughly 1.3. So way more debt on way low number of cash. And of course, that has the result that they are more forced to focus the profit side. They can't work too loosely with their money, with the budget, investing in acquisitions. that's not the situation anymore in my perspective for C Limited, and that's the reason why originally I sold actually C Limited, because the growth story from my perspective was over. I purchased it for a top-notch growth stock, and as soon as they focused that highly the profit side, I figured out I need to step back and sell my stocks. What I want to mention as well, as stated, financial services is a big aspect for C Limited and potentially as well for Grab. But what I like really much about the wallet and payment services of Grab is that basically first they have 3 different stakeholders which are very close connected to Grab. So the merchants, the different stores. Then we have the clients which utilize their services, and then we have the drivers and riders. All of them can potentially use the Grab app to use the financial services, the payments, the wallets, and even the loans and debt. But in the end, what makes it even more interesting for me is the convenience which comes in hand with by using a super app which you can use when you order food, just pushing your smartphone in the front, the other person, for instance, scans the QR code and the deal is done. That's so convenient, and everyone knows, I think, when it's Sunday evening and you are a little bit tired and you don't want to go out, or your refrigerator is empty, you want to order some food and you don't even have some cash on site. You don't want to talk too much with the riders who brings you the food. Even sometimes you want to have contactless delivery. And by using this payment, this wallet services, I think convenience is so focused, and it's just great that Grab offers these services as well, and that is really coming hand in hand with the other services. On the other side, when you have an e-commerce driven business like C Limited, of course it's as well very nice to have wallet and payment services, but convenience is not that important from my side. Of course, I want to purchase something and don't want to invest too much time in the payment procedure. But on the other hand, I have time to log in, for instance, PayPal to send the money, or even to deposit my credit card information for a purchase. So I have this time, but I don't have this time, or I don't want to spend that much time in front of a rider who brings me the food. So I think the Grab payment and wallet process is more adoptable and acceptable than the payment and wallet processes for C Limited customers. Again, if you got burned like me by C Limited in the past, and without any opinion about the future of C Limited, especially as a stock investor, I just want to mention, where light is darkness, of course, yeah, but give maybe the Southeast Asian market another chance, another try, and check out Grab. Could be interesting, has other circumstances, and on the other hand as well similarities to C Limited. But I think both companies are very interesting, but just because of you heard bad things or had bad experience with C Limited doesn't need to mean that Grab is bad or other Southeast Asian located companies are bad. That is what I just want to point out. So that's it for this video, to give you already a small preview of the upcoming part of the analysis of Grab. You can see here, next video we will talk about Southeast Asia, market share, competition, further fundamentals, the peers valuation, and of course the big former competitor but now brother and shareholder Uber. And guys, what is your opinion so far? I hope you have already a better feeling about Grab as a company, and I'm very interested to get the information from you. Did you already burn yourself as well like me with Southeast Asian companies like C Limited? And what is your feeling about now investing money into this market? Please leave me a comment. I would be very interested and start a discussion with you. And of course, because I want to create a long-lasting and sustainable business, make sure if you like the video and you appreciate the information which I forward you during the past minutes, please subscribe to the channel and give me a like. And as I mentioned, set up a comment. It's always more interesting to do this kind of stuff for a larger audience. And as I mentioned, you can be one of the first who can tell, okay, I was a subscriber of A Sense of Capital YouTube channel, and hope to see you on the second part of the Grab analysis. A Sense of Capital.